You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV Scandal After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV Scandal After Show.
'Cause you're the best thing that ever happened to me.
Gladiators, this is the AFTERBUZZ TV Scandal After Show, and we're going to have a quick moment of silence for James Novak. All right, we can't have that much dead air time. But this was an extremely emotional episode. I'm pretty sure we all cried. I don't know if we did, but I was crying. It was just a lot to handle, and this was season 3, episode 14, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. As always, I'm Emile Ennis Jr. I'm joined here with 3 other truly amazing gladiators, starting to my left with the fabulous.
Hey, what's up? I'm Kennelia.
Hey everyone, I'm Sofia Stanley.
I'm Bamm Ericsen.
And let's go ahead and get right into what happened. You know, they said that last week's episode was going to have the OMG moment, but I felt like this episode had way more OMG moments, especially that one, which we'll get into, but way more shocking and, you know, I guess buzzworthy moments than what they were trying to push on us, if that makes sense. The way that this episode opened, it's one of those things where we knew it was coming, but it happened so fast. Like, as soon as it opens, it's shot, bang. Like, and
the way it happened, because last week at the end, it just looked like Jake shot somebody, paused, shot somebody.
Right.
But today we see there was running, and then that's when it got sad. And I just want to apologize. Before, you know, I'm always like, yeah, so-and-so got to die, and somebody has to die, but when they actually do, I'm sad. So I'm going to stop doing that, because when it happens, then, you know, it's unfortunate. So I won't do it like that anymore.
And it's like one of those things where you don't know what you have until it's gone. But at the same time, we saw a lot more of the dynamic between Cyrus and James this episode, which also could, and I'm pretty sure is affecting the way that we feel as well.
I definitely agree with you, and I think it's also, too, there was something about the pace of this episode that didn't feel forced. Even with the flashbacks, it seemed basically that we were inside of Cyrus's head, because all of a sudden you have this extremely traumatic experience, number one. Number two, he kind of touches upon it a little bit with Liv at the end without saying it. There's a part of him that's thinking to himself, did I do this? Like, is it my fault? I.e., is it my fault because of Daniel Douglas, or is it my fault because at one time I did try to call to have him killed? You know what I mean? So it would only be natural for him to actually be playing in his mind the fact that James, in fact, was the best thing that he ever had. So I think that the pace of that intertwined with the regular show, it took us into the show, so we were actually feeling. We weren't waiting to figure out what was going to happen. We weren't theorizing. We were actually, or at least let me rephrase that, I was actually in the show, and I was feeling the emotions as they were coming. And at the end, when Cyrus broke down, I broke down. Like, Bamm looked at me like, are you really crying that hard? Like, I was
all sniffling, like
ugly crying. Yeah. It's an emotional episode.
Well, for me, I didn't like as much as I appreciated the flashbacks so you can get a more in-depth feel for Cyrus and James' relationship, it also turned me off because I got to see how they got together, how forceful James was trying to, the way he basically got with Cyrus. And so it made me dislike him.
Expand upon that a little bit. Sorry, Emile.
From when he came in on the bus, how I felt like there was a lot of times James was very forceful. He was forceful. He was very forceful when he was trying to get with him. He was very forceful when trying to making them choose between his boyfriend, the president, and then his relation. I felt he was too forceful.
I'm gonna pull a Sofia.
For me,
I'm gonna pull a Sofia and cut you off on purpose.
Go ahead. I don't like it.
I am gonna have to disagree with you completely because, as a gay man, I completely, and then maybe that's why I got so emotional with this episode. But when you are in the closet for so long, and you feel like there's no way to come out, and you have this big career, you're always focused on your career, you're worried about what people would think, and for somebody like Cyrus to be in that position, to have somebody like James come along, like my boyfriend came along, and somebody who can help you, who can truly help you express yourself. There were so many times in this episode where he said, I'm not your dirty little secret, and a lot of times in culture and society, they try to make it seem as if this is something that some type of disease, like Sally Langston even tries to put off sometimes. It's not a disease, it's a way that you feel, this innate feeling that you felt since you were born, and to have somebody come along and like truly care about you and want to help you be the best person and not hide who you are. I don't think he was really forcing. I feel like it was more he was enabling him to be the best that he could be, the best Cyrus that he could be. And the scene where we dealt with that, and then also how Fitz was so kind and such a friend. Like, we just saw so many different sides of people in this episode that it really made me appreciate the writing on this show. It made me appreciate Shonda Rhimes for even putting the character and that whole storyline in there, getting to see that, because we've seen it was already a big deal for Shonda to put this type of character in there, but to go behind the scenes and see like how they got together and like the inner workings of a gay man and how I don't know. There's just a really emotional episode for me, and I'm just sad to see James go now. No,
it was definitely, like you said, Shonda Rhimes, the way she plants her characters, it's not on mistake. Like, she does, you can tell this isn't on. It's not a mistake. She does this on purpose to get people to see. Because a lot of times when we watching James and Cyrus, we don't remember that they're gay. Like, we don't know this. We just think they're just like a couple. So for us to see the backstory of their relationship, I don't really think it was forceful. I would call it persistent. Because if you've ever been courted by a man or a woman, because women do court some men, or if vice versa, that's what it is. It's, I'm courting you. I'm pursuing you. Your eyes may not be open to it, but you're going to see. And I'm going to show you what it's like for me to be in your space. So I take it as more of a persistent courting. But
you court once the two are okay.
No, and I'm actually court beforehand. You got to court somebody to get there. It's old school courting. You court from the minute you meet them and have it in your mind that you want them in your life to the day that they're no longer in your life.
And I'm going to piggyback off of what both Emile and Kennelia are saying. Is I think that unfortunately that's actually maybe what's wrong today, regardless of the type of relationship, is that we're very unclear with what we want, which is very different. That I think James was clearly saying, I like you. Do you like me? Right? He told him about his beard, and he basically said, hey, I noticed you actually look better. And then he laid out his heart to him, and basically when Cyrus seemed as if he didn't respond, he said, oh, I'm really sorry. He was respectful, and then he backed off. And something that Emile said, I want to just repeat again and mirror. I think the important aspect of love is that someone truly sees you, number one. Someone truly sees when you're crying out and you're hurt, and someone sees how to potentially make it better. They are very deliberate on this show. When we were first introduced to Cyrus in the flashback, he was disheveled. He was grumpy. He was lonely. He was divorced. He was literally hiding the true nature of who he was. After James, he is this dynamic, robust, in control person. Why? Because he no longer has a secret. The entire essence of this show is how much not living your 100% true self by keeping that secret every day, you lose a part of who you are. And so I think that it really was a true sign of love in him having enough courage to say to another human being, hey, I like you. I don't just like kind of like you. I like really like you. I think we have something here. And I think that this scene, even with the inauguration, think about how important that is for you not to be able to be somewhere as major as that with the person you love simply because of your gender.
With other Republicans.
Yeah. And I think that the way that the show does it, they do throw a sense of humor in there. Do you know what I mean? Because literally first split second people stop and they go, wait a minute. And then what happens? You realize it's not a big deal. It's two people dancing, like two other people dancing. You continue dancing, you have a good time. So I think that for me, again, I've always been extremely flip about James, and for me, this episode was so perfectly crafted because not only I think was it about James, but more importantly, it was about Cyrus. And I think it's so easy for us to think of Cyrus as a soulless person, and that he, no matter what, and he said it last episode, James was the best part of him. Like, the best part of him loved James. And for me, it was extremely sad to see him go.
I think the funny thing is how it went kind of back to season one. Remember season one when Cyrus was in the garden and he was talking about how unhappy he was in the garden. And it was funny how when this moment happened, yes, there was that feeling and state of shock, but he immediately wanted to get back to work. And nobody was surprised he wanted to go back to work, because what did you want him to do? Like, just sit there and mourn? But I was a little put off by the fact that why would you surround him with all the flowers in the office?
But you know what it is, though? And I don't know. This is going to sound weird, but people don't know what to do.
Yeah, they don't.
And I think that even in the same way that Ethan was having his own emotion and couldn't kind of take a moment to think, well, what's Cyrus going through?
Right.
I think that people just think, like, I'm going to avoid the situation. Right? And I think that sometimes that's actually ironically what Cyrus was doing. So because Cyrus was avoiding the situation, everyone else was just kind of going about business as usual, because I think they didn't know what else to do.
And what do? Let's say they didn't put the flowers in the office. Then Cyrus gonna be like, so nobody cared?
Right.
True.
It's one of those things where if the funeral's at the church and you bring the flowers to the funeral or you bring them to the home, that office is Cyrus' home.
True.
Technically.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So.
Well, with the whole situation, though, Liv went right in and stepped in as a friend. She let Cyrus do his thing, and immediately Cyrus wanted to say that they needed to, take the reins because Sally's going to try to do the gun lobbying and try to take that. Were you surprised, though, with Sally? Because at first... No. I was going to say at first I thought maybe she was being genuine, but...
I said something I can't repeat on air.
No, Sally's back. The old Sally is back.
Yeah.
Those 3 episodes she had where she was down in the dumps because Daniel Douglas died. Oh, no. Oh, she's back. She was back on her game.
But you know what, though? There's a part of me, though, that literally... There's a part of me that has respect for her, and respect in the same point that, like, she's a gangster. Right? And then there's a part of me that's like, are you out your mind? And I know I thought she wasn't crazy before, and now I actually think she's crazy. Because it's like, so again, you're going to run against the President of the United States of America while you're his vice president, not quit and think you're going to use Air Force 2? You must be crazy. No, seriously? And that's why when he was like, oh, we're turning around, she's like, what's going on? It's like, yeah, thank you.
And
like, did you forget I'm the president?
And she needs to pay for her own gas.
Thank you.
Put the gas in it yourself, Sally.
There's still signs
87.
for me that Sally is she's become totally another person. She's on the dark side.
Yeah.
Totally still.
I can see, yeah.
You know what's funny, though? How maybe this is the reason why James was so into defiance and, like, researching. Because did you notice when they had the first meeting, his first article, his cover story about Hollis Doyle's influence? That's randomly passed by my mind. And then me being I don't know. I started to think, oh, well, did Cyrus get with James? I started to have negative reasons, thinking. But then as I saw it progress, I was like, okay, oh, please don't tell me this was a relationship where Cyrus is already bad from the start. But,
no, I think you can tell that there was a connection, or as when kids, they call it love gum, where there's like that.
Sorry, I think that's so cute.
Love gum, where there's the connection, and James, I won't say forceful, I'll use the term that you use, but he was very persistent, and it's just kind of one of those things where he knew he can keep going there because he knew that the connection was there. And when I just lost my train of thought. What were you saying?
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of that because I think that was very appropriate because exactly. It's hard for us sometimes to see Cyrus as anything other than who he is, but it was nice because it was to me a genuine interaction where from the minute, even the minute James said it, whenever you catch it, just jump right in. Mm-hmm. The minute he turned, like he was about to respond to the reporter, like whatever. Did you notice him pause for a second?
Yeah,
he was
did.
like, ooh, you know what I mean? And that's why the banter they were having back and forth, and that's why I think because, what's the term? Like, no one can dance with you unless you dance back with them. You got to be invited to the dance. That's what they were doing. Like if someone doesn't give you something to play off of, it doesn't work. So,
and I know what I was gonna say. When James approached Cyrus, Cyrus still had that same Cyrus that you see then when he basically put him down and was like, yeah, your little job. He was very much Cyrus then and he's very much Cyrus now.
But then he had read his article in his little know-nothing paper.
Till the very end.
And he made him shave his neck beard.
That was cute.
I mean, he looked horrible.
He did.
No shave November all year round.
But they had to do that to try and make Cyrus look younger.
Right.
But some people, we had a conversation with someone on Twitter where they were trying to downplay James's job and his worth.
Yeah.
And if you watch this episode, James, I don't call him an opportunist, but he's very good at what he does, and he's very smart and he's very intelligent. And just the way that he was coming at Cyrus when they were on the bus, James was a smart guy. He was a smart guy. He was very intelligent,
and even the way
you can't downplay his worth. They was like, well, the only reason that he's his position is because of Cyrus. And no, I think he earned his way up there.
Even the way he would position the questions, like when you said, why hasn't Fitz talked about marriage equality when you're gay? Clearly,
when he was a gay chief of staff,
right?
Yeah.
But let's talk about, before we go into these other topics, let's talk about that final scene. When Cyrus finally breaks down, because Cyrus, and this is for anybody in this show, just like the first time we saw Olivia really cry, Cyrus is one of those people where, like you said, sometimes you forget he truly does have a soul. And so to have a moment like this where even in spite of what he's going through, he says, no, I'm going to do this, I'm going to read this.
And I think that, and for me, it was also too that he felt like it was his duty as his husband, because here you have this new press secretary who's incompetent.
Just effing
he
up.
Can't have the person who literally basically, quote unquote, closes the case and puts closure and also finality on the fact that his husband has died, mess it up with the press.
I'm sorry, I need to get my bearings together.
Yeah.
Right,
Do you
what?
know what I mean? Like, I haven't gotten to that point yet. Like, I'm still reading. Like, I don't really know what went on. So for me, in that moment, I literally was like, it's like anyone has to do. It's like it was in essence equivalent to his eulogy. Like he had to, regardless of.
It's no different than if you have to bury your loved one, or if you have to sing that song because your mom or your dad or your whatever wanted you to sing, and it's really hard.
They made me sing at every funeral.
For me. I thought that scene for Cyrus was great because he finally had his moment to just let it out. I'm a TV person, but think about when James died on Good Times. Think about when Brie Vanderkamp's husband died. You have to finally let it out. No matter if you're in front of people or if you are by yourself. There's a moment when you try and be strong and you try to keep everything in, but there's a moment where you just you have no control and you just have to let it go.
True, and maybe I don't have a good memory, but I feel like unlike previous shows I've watched, and I can't recall one at the moment, there was a guttural reality in the way that he broke down. Normally people don't, like, he started to wail.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that there was a rawness there that literally, like, the moment he started crying, I started crying. But then it's almost like he wailed. It was like an unnatural sound. It was literally like, it's because someone has died. Like, think about it. We have all cried before, but death is another. It's completely different. Like, it's literally that someone, you will no longer see them again. They're going to another dimension, and literally that's what we felt. Like, if anyone, whether or not you're spiritual or whether or not you believe in mysticism or whatever it is, obviously there in quote unquote 2,000 years ago they believed in an underworld. That's to me what I heard in his wailing. It was like that underworld, guttural, just he was unaware of what was going on, and all he knew was an immense sense of loss that he knew could never be fixed. And anyone who's lost someone, you learn to deal with that pain, but the pain never goes away. And ironically, what's worse is when you start to learn to deal with it.
Right.
That actually sometimes is worse than in the moment thinking that you can't deal with it. And that's what I felt from him. And it wrenched me in a way that was pure, it was authentic, and it was real.
I also thought James's final moment.
Oh, no.
I thought it was a great moment, and I can't help it because I'm an actor, but I just thought that the way
how hard is that? Like, kind of break that down for us, because I'm not an actor, so I kind of don't know what that means. So kind of go into a little bit more detail for us, if you could.
So his final moments, basically, when he was on the ground, he's in blood, and Jake is basically saying, "I'm going to stay here with you." You have to really put yourself in a position where you feel like you've lost and you're about to die. There's something that you have to put yourself in this character's position, and you have to think this is the end, and you do whatever you have to do. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not real tears. Sometimes it's fake, and you do certain things. But because he is an Emmy award-winning actor, I thought he nailed that scene. I thought he was brilliant,
and he proved it, because you saw both fear and gratefulness at the same time. Like, you felt fear because you know that this man just killed you, and obviously even when he was mumbling and Jake realized he was trying to ask about his daughter, and he's like, she's safe, she's safe. But then there was also that gratefulness that he didn't have to die by himself. And the way that Jake coaxed him there, I don't even know.
That was eerie to me. That Jake's position was eerie to me. Like, it was, in theory, it was comforting. But for him to be able to do that, that shows that he's able to completely separate himself from real life and his job, and that's not an easy thing to do. One day you wake up in your command, you still have your human sense about yourself. You're still a person, and you still have feelings. And even with his monologue talking about being alone, he knows what it's like to be alone. So for him to be able to separate himself in that moment and watch a man die that you just saw, that you shot, and to be there, like, kind of like a doctor, you know what I mean? Like, when doctors can't really show emotion. They can't break down in front of the patient. They can't show you that they're feeling the same thing that you feel. It was almost kind of like that, and it was kind of eerie to me because he's still new to the job. Like, that creeped me out, man. That really creeped me out.
No, you want to go?
All right.
It creeped me out, but I think that there was accountability, and I think that's kind of what I'm seeing throughout this episode, that I think there's so many things that we do in this world that we're only aware of or privy to, like, the first layer, right? So we never think what it means, right? So whether or not that's the President of the United States of America having to send troops to defend democracy, whether or not that is, even something as innocuous as, throwing a paper cup out of the window, right? It kind of doesn't matter. Like, everything has a ripple effect. But I think that there was an aspect of accountability that he basically realized, I made the choice, regardless of whether or not I can rationalize it, to take this person's life, number one. Number two, I had to do in the manner that I did it to make it look like a carjacking. That's why he took out the second gun. I was questioning, why did he shoot Vanessa and Shelby with one gun, but then shoot James with another gun? That he was taking full accountability for that. So he had enough honor, if you kind of think about it from a concept of war, that despite the fact that we're on opposite sides, I still respect you because you were in this fight with me. But I mean, I think we could kind of go on, and we'll definitely come back to it. But one of the things that we like to do here at AfterBuzz TV is to give you an opportunity to join the discussion, to join the dialogue. And one of the best ways that you can do that is by going to iTunes.com. So all you have to do is go to iTunes.com and you type in AfterBuzz TV Scandal. And all of our podcasts will come up, all of our podcasts from season 1, season 2, as well as season 3. And you can comment, so you can join the conversation. You can rate and you can subscribe. And by subscribing, what you can do is once you subscribe, the minute our podcasts are available, they will immediately pop up on your laptops or your smartphones or your tablets or however you listen to us. So again, just go to iTunes.com, AfterBuzz TV Scandal, and you'll get all of our podcasts. And make sure to tell a friend.
And while you're online, I'm sure you guys have all heard about Hulu. Well, Hulu.com is cool, but let me tell you about Hulu Plus, which is so much more. With Hulu Plus, you can watch your favorite shows anytime, anywhere, and it lets you watch thousands of hit TV shows and movies in the living room or on the go with your smartphone or tablet. And you can watch your favorite shows like SNL, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Shark Tank. I love Shark Tank. And, of course, Scandal. And you can watch every episode of shows like Lost. You know, I never actually watched Lost, and I wanted to watch it so bad. Law & Order, SVU, Doctor Who, and Community. And you can also check out exclusive content, including Hulu originals like The Wrong Mans and Behind the Mask, which actually looks really good. Hulu's new docuseries that takes you inside the world of sports mascots. You'll also get access to a collection of ad-free movies and kids content.
That's right, Emile. And for only $7.99 a month, you can catch up on current shows, binge on old favorites, or catch a great movie. Stream as many TV shows and movies as you want, wherever you want. So right now, you can try Hulu Plus for free for 2 weeks. When you go to huluplus.com/AfterBuzz, that special offer is for our listeners. So make sure you use the huluplus.com/AfterBuzz so you can get the extended free trial and they know we sent you. So again, go to huluplus.com/AfterBuzz right now for your extended 2-week free trial, guys.
Can't beat it.
Can't beat it. I'm going to do it later.
Right? If I didn't already have Hulu Plus, I would do it. So let's get into B613. This episode, like I said, we got to see a lot of different characteristics, dynamics, and we were complaining, it was probably last week, about Jake. And even still, I still don't necessarily see him as command. And I don't know.
I do now.
I do now, but still not wholly. But I don't know. But maybe it will come later. But for right now, I still don't see him really as command. And we were questioning, you know, why is command going out and in this episode, for example, dumping the bodies? Why is he the one going out and shooting? But when he was talking to Liv, he pretty much summed it up and said, or was he talking to Liv?
Yes. Because she came and
yes.
him.
When he was talking to Liv, he said, you know, because she was saying, you're no different than my father, you're turning into him. He said, no, I am different because the difference is instead of putting soldiers in a hole and putting them out into the battlefield, I'm doing it myself to make sure to God. So, I mean.
And can I say something?
Yeah.
I literally was like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
Because I'd been like, this is messy. I don't know why he's doing this. Da-da-da-da-da. Like, I was literally, that's how I sounded last week. And then he gave an answer that showed that he had a level of honor that I didn't even consider, and I thought, oh.
Yeah, I was doing it too. I was like, why is he shoveling in his clothes?
Well, I still agree with that, though. Why would you bury the bodies? There has to be another way.
Well, also, why do you bury them together?
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's messy to me.
But, like, anytime you bury bodies, there's no way, really, that you can... Like, you can't put a fresh patch of grass on there to make it.
And I literally, when we were watching, I literally was like, oh, who's watched Breaking Bad? And then Kennelia was immediately was like, hello, yes, acid in a little container. He sent it far, far away.
Put it on the truck. Put a sticker on the side and put it and send it.
For me,
biohazard.
For me, when Jake and Olivia was having the conversation, shut up, Liv. You cannot. Who the hell do you think you are where you think you can just go up to people and just demand answers from everybody? This man has a job, okay? Whether if you like it or not, he may have the job that your dad has, but he took the job. That's his responsibility. Stop being so damn nosy and stop asking all the questions and let this man do his job. You don't have the right just because you're playing play boyfriend that you can demand answers from this man. You wouldn't do that to your dad. It's just like, have a seat, sit down, shut up.
No.
She did do it to
her dad.
She used to always be like, Dad, answer me.
Yeah.
She would give him that whole speech.
You don't work for the Smithsonian.
Yeah, and he would go at her.
Yeah.
I kind of predicted she was going to do that as soon as I knew I figured she was going to find out. But my whole issue is stop comparing people to your dad. Because everybody Olivia meets going forward is always going to go back to her dad. And that's what girls do.
And so what if, and now thank you for bringing that up. And she was like, well, you know, you're just like my dad. So damn what? It's his job. He has to do what he has to do. And I'm glad that she had the conversation with her dad, and her dad finally had, or is that time to talk about?
Well, no. I'm saying that that's my emotional release from that scene that I'm exhaling.
We'll lead up to that. Before we even get there, though, David, in the beginning, because we didn't touch on this, but he was sitting right there, saw 2 people get shot, and his friend James, they worked on a lot of projects together recently, you know, conniving, manipulating, trying to figure out this whole white hat situation. To see one of your friends try to run away and get shot right there, and then to pretty much have an ultimatum, either you're with me or you're not.
It's a lot to handle. Even if that wasn't his friend, to see anybody die, you can get hit by a car. It doesn't matter how. That's something that you're not prepared to see. Think about it. He was just on the corner meeting with them, talking, planning to try to, you know, come out with the information, and all of a sudden Jake rolls up, shoots 2 people next to you, and then you see James running and he shoots him in the back like that. You can't prepare yourself for that. I mean, I don't care who you are. You can't. It's crazy.
Just in James or in David's situation, like, I just can't imagine, like, and the terror that he has to feel, and how you feel like you can't talk to anybody about it. And that's why I felt for Abby, because, and you know, Abby has that sixth sense where she knows, anybody who's in a relationship knows when something's wrong with their partner. And Abby was like, tell me something's wrong. We don't do these lies anymore. And David had that Chinese wall like Olivia had, just for his safety, her safety, everybody's safety around him. But
I think it proves that. And again, I think this is the difference between pure and honest love. Someone who loves you cannot allow you to carry that burden by yourself, because then you're not safe, because you're in the midst of terror, whether or not you're going through post-traumatic stress, you're possibly not thinking clearly. By involving Abby then involved Olivia, and Olivia was able to convince him, you need to protect yourself. Right? Without that, he probably wouldn't have convicted the guy.
Yeah.
And then he would have been dead. And he's not thinking about the ripple effects that has. And I think that, again, if anyone's forceful, it was Abby. But I wouldn't even say, what was a word you would use earlier in the episode regarding James? Forceful. If she's forceful, then in this instance, forceful is a positive and not a negative word, because that's exactly what you're supposed to do. I think it's kind of comparable to, and I can't remember which episode it was, but the first time that we kind of post the sexual assault with Melly and Fitz and her are having that conversation, right? What did we talk about? We talked about the fact that how could Fitz not have any kind of meaningful conversation with her, what's wrong? Notice how even though Abby was kind of saying, no, we don't lie, then she stopped. She put her hands on his face and she looked at him and she said, I love you. You are my heart. We don't do this. What is wrong? That moment, I think, again, takes the rest of the world away, and it basically says that no matter what, as long as we're together, we can get through this. That shows they love each other, which is exactly the opposite of how Melly and Fitz interact with each other. Ironically, and I know I'm going to get heat for this, it's also the same way, or it's not the same way, as Fitz and Olivia deal with one another. They actually never go there. They yell, they're forceful with one another, they're persistent with one another, but they never stop and really go to that inner part of what everyone is afraid of. Someone's afraid of something, right? So whether or not it's literally a man with a gun, or whether or not it's someone not loving you, or not being successful, or whatever your fear is, everyone's afraid of something. The only way you get through life is knowing that you have someone to go through life with, so that you're not so afraid. Literally and figuratively, someone to hold your hand. And I think that's what it showed with Abby, even though she kind of seems like she's like, ah! That moment when she just held him, that was a moment of reality, and that was a moment of intimacy, where she basically was like, we're in this together no matter what.
And then what do you think, because Abby then goes to Olivia to tell her the information that Olivia already knows.
She already knows.
Right?
But at first I was like, no, even though I'm just talking out the other side of my mouth, I was like, oh my God, you can't tell Olivia!
But she already knew. And then after that, Olivia, we have this scene with Olivia and David, and they're pretty much talking about how they're going to save humanity. That's what it felt like. But instead of taking down Jake, they want to take down B613, which David was like, oh, so you don't want me to go on a suicide mission and take down Jake, but you want me to take down the whole organization. So what did you feel about that?
Right there, that's when I kind of was like, whoop, on the part of David. Because how many times has Olivia sent David up you know what's creek. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he's in this place right now. He's afraid. He's very afraid. He doesn't know what to expect. He's on the cusp of doing the right thing, the thing that he thinks is right, and the thing that he's been told to do. But David, go back to when you lost your job and you were teaching at that stanky old high school. Mm-hmm. This was because of your friend Olivia. Yeah. So for him, for us looking in, it's like, okay, they can do it together because they both, have, good inside of them. They want to do good. But for David, is he going to trust Olivia? And is something going to happen that makes her flip the script on David again? Because if opportunity approaches itself where she has to save somebody at the cost of David, then David's gonna. He's just gonna have to fall by the wayside.
I'm gonna have to go there for a second. No, actually, forget it. It was going to be, I think, no, because I was basically, I can't figure out my whole thought process, but basically, I feel like on some levels, he had no choice.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And the reason he had no choice is specifically because of the scene with Abby. And in so much as, and I don't know, maybe it's like too much death conversation, but one of the ways to prevent people from committing suicide is them knowing that other people love them and that other people will be affected. In essence, if David didn't send McCollum or whatever his name is away, he would in essence be committing suicide, right? Because he knows Jake is going to kill him. So in that moment, he has a choice, right? So by Olivia sitting next to him, right? Because at first it was Abby, but then it's Olivia. It's basically letting him know that his death won't be an isolated incident, if that makes sense. Like, other people will be affected. David, if anything, really wears the white hat.
Yes.
Right? And David would never... David could think to himself, I'll sacrifice myself because I wear the white hat that proudly that I'm willing to be a martyr. But not if it literally leads to the death of other people, even if that death is only an emotional death.
Right.
And I think that kind of was the closure of the scene with Abby, of Liv sitting down, because even though she was like, oh, we can take down B613, if you look at her body language, it was as a friend. The words coming out of her mouth were business as usual, but her body language was more as a friend, like, I can't let you do this. Like, I can't. Like, you have to live, you have to be alive. And again, even she was saying, we have to live, we have to be alive. That kind of connection to something else, I feel like, yeah, he had no other choice but to not allow himself to die.
For me, David, it's one of those things where when you've been stabbed in the back so long, even when you see the sincerity in the person who stabbed you so many times, you can see the sincerity, but for me, I would still kind of have hesitations because she's done so much. And then the fact that when David blurted and just confessed his guts to Abby, boom, the second around, she goes and blabs it to Liv. And it's, I don't know, I
want David to watch his back.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say.
Thank you.
Because in tradition with the show, when David relies on Olivia,
he gets screwed.
Nobody else, people get burned, but he always is the one that takes the biggest hit. Everybody else, stuff happens or whatnot, but David is the one who, Olivia, because she's walking the line and she wants to save everybody, when you want to save everybody, somebody has to drown. It always happens. You got two hands. And if you want to save 5 people, guess what? You got to figure out how to save 5 people with 2 hands. Sometimes you can only get 4. You know what I mean? Somebody got to drown. So, in this case, is it going to be David again?
But on the flip side, even when she does burn him and all those things, she does try to reconcile the situation. And
but the way she goes about it, it's not
edible arrangement.
Even
but okay, what was she supposed to do? But okay, let's be real. What was she supposed to do? Give me another scenario. Because in this instance, I thought that she was spot on.
Yeah.
No, in this instance, she was spot on, and I think her intentions are always well, but she always lets David fall by the wayside. I think her intentions are always pure. But just because you got pure intentions, don't mean that stuff is always going to work out the way you want to. And in David's case, it always doesn't work out in his favor.
You want to know why? And I'm going to talk out of the exact opposite side of my mouth than I normally do as it pertains to Olivia. These are all adult human beings who are fully capable. Just because I save you or I give you an option doesn't mean I have to continue to hold your hand.
That's like, I get it, but that's like being like, don't commit suicide. I'm going to be here for you the whole step of the way. And then 2 weeks later, you'd be like, I found out I'm moving to Connecticut.
Well, no, but true. But also on some levels, okay, and I think that's a great analogy, but then, okay, buck up. Does that make sense? And basically realize, okay, cool, like how do I actually either find real friends or let me put some money together and go see someone and figure out how to get past this? Because there's a certain aspect of when you lean on, and I know as I'm talking, I'm like, oh, I can hear myself arguing with myself. It's almost, if you're not a whole person, you're never going to be able to stand up on your own, right? So I think that there's a certain aspect of David that he has to say, even in that moment, well, what do I live for? Does that make sense? Am I willing to die to let this truth be out? Because is it really? Like, what am I really going to do? So for some people, they would choose. Like, okay, let Command kill me. The story's still not going to get out, but at least I wasn't a party to this cover-up. Some other people would basically be like, just in the same way, the analogy that Joe Morton, Rowan was making with Olivia, the soldier doesn't have a choice because someone else is going to do it. Someone else is going to do it. Like, it's already been done. You actually are not the one who put this plan in motion. If anything, it was actually James who put this whole thing in motion. It was James who brought it to him originally. Think about it. Granted, he ended up getting the tape, but it was James who was the initial catalyst for this whole Daniel Douglas, the VP, and Cyrus killed him and covered it up, right? What is he supposed to do?
No, what he did was correct, but he needs to have the one eye open, because at the end of the day, whoever gets burned, to me, it always seems like it's David by the same person.
Okay, that I agree.
Like, it's always him.
Yeah.
He's always the one that gets the kick in the pants.
Well, let us know what you think online. We talked about continuing the conversation, so we're going to continue that conversation
Especially
online.
We'll offline with Joe Morton and Rowan, because I need to go on Twitter every line. I hope you guys are tweeting me.
We want to talk about those two scenes. I want to talk about the scene with Rowan. I want to talk about the scene with Huck and Quinn. So with Rowan, though, it was nice because Olivia, and I don't know how I feel about this, Olivia, has these moments where she wants people to be what she needs at that very moment. If Olivia says, I need you to be my fake boyfriend, I need you to do that, I need you to be my father. And in that scene, she said, I need you to be my real father, my regular dad, just be here for me. But I still like Rowan's approach, how he was real with her, but he's like, I don't think you're expecting me to be some, Liv, everything's gonna be okay. Like, he was still Rowan. He was still
183.
Oh my gosh. Like, that scene, and you were talking about his acting, that's a freaking masterclass right there. But like, his acting is just so raw and real when you're watching him. Like, there's some actors, I've talked about this before, there's some actors you watch them, you're like, oh damn, I still remember in that show. And like, you constantly think about their other roles, but in this particular role that he's in, you don't think about, that's Joe Morton. You're like, oh my God, Rowan is a beast. Like,
yeah, seriously.
You just get engaged.
And it was the first time that it seemed as if he was giving some level of empathy to Jake. Like, and you're going to punish him? Like, he was like, you have no idea. He goes, yeah, no, fine, because the lines are just amazing.
Being the hand of God is already the worst punishment in the world. I was like, whoa. Like, just, and Olivia needs to hear things like that, because a lot of times Olivia, I hate to say it, but she does act a little selfish. Like, everything revolves around her. Like, it's her world, and if something's wrong with her, everybody needs to deal with how to fix her, even though she fixes everybody else.
And I think it's also that she views everything as very black and white. Like, she views everyone as monsters. Can't there be shades of gray? And at the same point that people are doing their job, just in the way that arguably you bend the law. Why? For the greater good. They also think that they're doing things in the greater good. You were going to say something, Bamm?
Yeah, I like that after he broke down and basically said, this is a job, you have to deal with it. But then he said to her, now we do what we do, now you go ahead and do what you do. And the way he put his hand on her, on her hand, he basically assured her that although we do what we do, do what you have to do, do what I kind of like raised you to be or whatever. And he held her hand, he comforted her, and that was a great way to wrap up.
Yeah, and let me see if I can get the quote. Everyone is worth saving. In the face of darkness, you drag everyone in the light. That is the point. At least I think that is the point of you.
That was just, I almost cried right there. I probably teared up,
I
but
did tear up. I'm a dork.
like just to see that moment between them.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, am I done now?
Yeah. No, he really did. He's like, am I finished?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an emotional scene. And of course, we can't leave without talking about.
But real quick, real quick. I actually am changing my tune on Olivia. Even though she may be selfish, I like it. I think there's nothing wrong with asking. It is not my job.
That's right.
No, it is not my job to kind of coddle you or whatever. It's my job to teach you how to treat me.
Right.
Or what I need, right? And I think she's clearly articulating. Whether or not it's with Jake or with Fitz or whatever, she's like, I need you to be my real dad. Can you do that? If not, okay, cool, bye.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? With Jake, I need you to be my fake boyfriend. Can you do that? With Fitz, I need you to be my real whatever boyfriend, not in Vermont in some fantasy land. I need you to be what we are here.
Right here.
I need that. I like it.
I like it too. Good point.
Now we had 2 passionate scenes, and then we'll wrap up. So do you guys?
Let's go with it.
Which way do we want to go
Let's go.
first?
Okay, we're gonna do Melly and Andrew first, because then we'll go into the OMG what the.
Yeah.
Okay, so Melly and Andrew are on the trail trying to deal with the gun lobbying, and we have this moment where first you guys brought up a great point. If you want to talk about that.
So we saw that Melly can actually shoot. Andrew was not that good. They had a moment outside where they were practicing, preparing for their meeting or the schmooze, wine and dine outside with the people that they went to see.
The gun lobby.
Right. So if you remember season 2, Melly was really upset and up in arms when she thought that Fitz called Olivia out to the woods with her to go shooting, and she was saying, "I can't. Like, why didn't you ask me to go shoot with you?" So that we were like, "Oh, whatever, Melly." But now what we're seeing and what I took from it is Andrew is really doing the things with Melly that Fitz won't do, and doesn't want to do. So now all of these voids, we're watching all of these voids be filled by Andrew with Melly, and we saw it play out.
We saw it play out.
What was the line he said to her? And again, it's like they have there's a certain aspect of their interaction is very much like Olivia and Fitz. Remember when they were where were they? Like they were at the equivalent of Camp David. Remember? Well, the first time we used to see and Liv and Fitz were planning the State of the Union address, and they would go back and forth or whatever. That's basically what we were seeing with Andrew and Melly in terms of the gun lobbying. And he's like, "What? You're not in support of the 3-day wait list?" And she's like, "No, 3 minutes is too much. Like, what are you insane? Just like Fitz and."
And not only that, but Melly always has to hold back on her thoughts, her feelings. We've had to argue this with Twitter followers about the intelligence of Melly. She's very intelligent. She took 5th place as a junior world championship shooting the guns, and then she even corrected what's his name with the AK-47. She's like, no, A-15. Like she's smart. She knows what she's talking about, but she doesn't really have that opportunity to discuss anything that she's remotely interested in, and she gets to do it with this guy.
It's funny because the way you were talking about how Andrew's basically filling voids that Fitz can't provide. There's a very important scene too when they were working with the gun lobbies, and then she said that we can get Fitz to make a speech. Andrew calls Fitz to let him know what's going on. He's like, "Oh, actually, Melly came up with the idea." He's like, "Do you want to talk to her for a moment? Maybe say thank you."
Terrible.
No. But then Andrew said, Fitz wants to thank you for, that. And even that little gesture right there. But the line you were talking about, Sophia, he said when they were having their banter about gun control, he said, "It's a shame," after he paused, he said, "It's a shame that he can't see you the way I do." And then I put "they make love" because I want to imagine their love.
When he says that Fitz says he wants to thank you, Melly wasn't buying that. But hold on. What I'm saying is that when he said that, I felt like that was him saying. I felt like he was speaking for himself, not for Fitz, saying, "Melly, thank you." Not. Oh, yeah.
But do you think Melly took it as?
I think she took it
as Andrew saying
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I thank you.
Yeah.
And I think it was both. Because I think there's still a part of Melly, no matter what, that still longs for Fitz's validation. Mm-hmm. So that's why there were those doe eyes. Those doe eyes were halfway for Andrew, but halfway for like really? Like he really said thank you?
Well, she wasn't longing for it last night. Okay? She wasn't longing for it then.
Oh my god.
It was steamy.
It was
I was
steamy.
happy for Melly.
I
though.
was so happy
I was
for
like,
Melly.
yeah, girl, get it in. Because this whole time, Fitz has been kicking it, hanging out.
She ain't had any probably since the baby was born.
And if we look at in the past couple of episodes, like normally they make Melly look a little stiff, like a prude.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
recently, like the way her hair has been styled and her demeanor and dress is just.
That's how you are when you're around your dude.
Well,
you know, when a
well.
woman is around her dude, like the way they were talking when they were drinking, that's what it is. Like that's a Friday night. You get you put the Netflix on, you get the appetizers out, and y'all just home. That's what it's like.
That's how I am with Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Oh my God.
That's another time, another show. But Huck and Quinn.
Oh gosh.
This came. What's up?
Okay, that to me was the OMG moment. Then you said it. There are a multitude of OMG moments, but literally for me, that I literally got off my chair, spun around, and literally sat on the floor for the remainder of the scene.
My jaw dropped and
Man
did
ran
not
out the
close.
room.
Well,
And
that was good.
yeah,
Bam ran out of the room.
I ran out.
Because he thought there was going to be torture.
Yeah, I thought I ran out the room, but I remember last week I did say, Quinn. Oh, no, I ran, and then when I didn't hear any like drills, I kind of put my head back in the door to see, and then I was kind of watching a little bit. And yeah, but last week I said, how is it that she goes into OPA? There's no
said
cameras.
that.
There's no anything.
Yeah.
And then Huck. He's a smart guy. He says after the whole debacle with David, I decided to put a camera inside the safe.
I mean, that whole scene, though, I think the reason it was OMG already because they were kissing at the end.
Oh,
but I think the reason why it was so OMG, not just because of that, is because it was like lit. It was a Shonda roller coaster because at the beginning of the scene, you thought she was about to die because he's like, I've come here basically to kill you.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're going to, but you had to have known, like, I trained you. You had to have known, like, I put a camera there, and then it goes to kiss. I'm like, whoa,
No,
whoa.
but before that, though,
What she
when
said.
she spat in his... Oh, no, back up. No, but back up.
Yeah.
You're right. But she basically was like, you say I'm a gladiator, then you take it away from me. Now you kind of bring it back. In that moment, before she spat on him, I was like, you must be out your mind. Because obviously he's right. Does that make sense? Like, I did train you. So you're asking to come back. So stop your whining. I'm bringing you home. Come home. But then when she spat in his face,
That was foreplay for
I
her.
literally...
I was like, yo.
Okay, I'm still deciding on that one, but I was like, yeah, go ahead. Because part of me was like, even though when she was like, oh, are you here for more teeth? I was like, shut up.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
there
Team
was a
Quinn right
moment,
now.
right? There was a moment when
was
she spat
Team
on him.
Huck.
I
You know,
no, there was
Team
when she
Huck.
spat on him. I was so having it because I was like, yo, like if you're gonna kill me, kill me. Like I'm tired of this. You yapping at me. I'm tired of you telling me what I can and cannot do. Just kill me. Yo, shut the.
Ooh!
I was Team Huck. When he came out from behind that IKEA furniture with that
toolbox.
I was like, yo, it's time. Let's go. Like, I was ready for Quinn to go. And I said I was going to stop saying, people die with her. But when he showed up behind that thing, I was like, yo, Huck was in there the whole time? I thought it was over.
But that kiss,
And when she
though.
spit
So,
on
but did
him,
she kiss back?
Yes.
She did.
Oh, no, did you see?
I mean, I know what I saw.
So they were kissing. It was that kiss. It was like they were like licking face, like licking mouths, like it was. They were exchanging a kiss, and when you noticed when he left, she was touching her lips. It wasn't in disgust.
Yeah,
now.
I agree.
She wasn't like.
They both into that
she
kinky
was,
stuff.
Like, rubbing her face.
No, and I was saying, because at the end of the day,
memory.
this whole thing is an addiction for him, right? So not only is it an addiction, he finally gets to share it with someone. So just like he said with Liv, you gave me someone to love, right? Again, we've always wondered, and I think we've said, was that a sisterly type of
Yeah.
love? What kind of love is it? But you put love, and they're not biologically related, right? And now you amp him up right at the point where he can do one of two things, right? He can either kill somebody or something else.
Well,
I can't really
Huck
comment on it because
spitting on Huck
I didn't watch
means
the second.
foreplay. Because when she spit on him, he was like, rare. And
Right?
he went in for it.
I'm telling you,
But
Huck
can I
and
say
that nasty
something?
stuff.
Turn him on, man.
Pour some blood on me.
I really like, even though probably next episode I'll say the exact opposite, I really like where they're going with them because from the beginning of when people were saying Huckleberry Quinn or whatever, the slow build of this has been nice. And it went somewhere we never thought it was going to go. We never thought it would go here. That she'd be pushed out of OPA, that he'd pull out her tooth, that he basically threatened to kill her and say that the only reason I didn't kill you is because... Why did he say he wasn't going to kill her?
Was it Liv?
Yeah, because of Liv.
And to pick it off that, it's one of those things where in the moment you're like, wait, what the... But then it's like, oh, actually, I don't think I mind that much.
I don't know
well, that
how
might
I feel
work.
about that one.
I think it may work, though.
And the problem is, and this is where it gets really tricky, he's better than Charlie. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? It's,
At least I trust him.
incestuous. Like, it's effed up, right? Because it's somewhat incestuous, but... Do you know what I mean? But it's better than Charlie. I don't know.
Well, we will definitely continue that on.
Okay.
Can I just give
What's up?
my cold piece real quick?
Oh, yes.
My cold piece is Mama Pope for randomly coming out of
can't
nowhere,
even-
shooting two people, and then they're just leaving. Who's cleaning this up? Like,
Adnan. That's the problem. That's why Adnan got scared.
I want to give it to her because she just
Fair
came
enough.
out of nowhere. And
Thank you for that. I completely forgot about that. It was such a tiny part of the episode, which we'll talk about that online. But I want them to wrap that part up, or just tell me where it's going, because I need that to.
I was originally bored with the whole Mama Pope thing, but now that she's with Adnan and then you have Harrison, I think with the next 5 episodes, I think there'll be another very OMG type moment that goes with between Adnan and Harrison.
Especially once we see.
Just don't tell us.
Yeah, especially once she see what she was hired for, because we don't know what she was hired for. Now that we see she was hired by Adnan.
now Adnan is afraid because she came into this like she was bossy, like she was the boss. Harrison was scared of her. Now she's scared of Mama Pope. So
I think Mama Pope looked good this episode. She had a little bit of swag.
yeah, she had.
Well, I mean, she just bought her Gucci. I mean, sorry, my dork. I'm like, hello.
had a nice new
She was
suit
like,
on.
oh, you didn't bring Ivan? Okay.
Right?
Like, jeez.
Well, we're going to talk about that and continue discussion online. But guys, we're going to go into some news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, I don't know what news and gossip you guys have, but this past week I experienced, I'm sure we all did, but I experienced like the first earthquake out here that I really felt. And this isn't scandal related news. It was a scandal to me because when I felt it, I didn't know what was going on. I woke up out of my bed like,
Oh, yes, I forgot you haven't lived here long.
I haven't. That was the
either.
first, but I just have to talk about, did y'all see the news anchor on
Yes.
KTLA?
I was actually asleep. I didn't feel
I
the
was
earthquake.
sleeping. You didn't.
Well, I was asleep
Okay,
too,
no,
but
it
my
was-
tower
no.
was swaying.
Okay, this is the differences. I've actually lived in Los Angeles for 9 years. It was longer than normal. So, for instance, most earthquakes in Los Angeles, or at least in the 9 years that I've lived here, and there has been a drought, we haven't had them in a while, it's normally between like 2 and 5 seconds. This one was 10 to 15. So imagine there in the universe, right? That all of a sudden, like, you feel, like for me, what happens is, it's almost like the rest of the room is moving,
Yes.
but you're not moving. So your whole sense of reality is skewed because you're like, wait a minute, I'm not moving, but everything else around me is. 2 seconds you think, oh, maybe that's like a Mack truck or a big truck. 4 seconds you think, what the heck? 10 seconds you're like, whoa.
The world is ending.
Right now, yes, I think everyone who saw the news anchor kind of bug out, they thought it was hilarious, and maybe I've lived here too long, and people forget that in set there are
They're
huge
lights, yeah.
light fixtures above you. So that is exactly what you're supposed to do, because it would not have been funny if the light fixture,
fell on
Right.
his
Crash on his head,
Poor
yeah.
thing.
even though it was hilarious.
All right, guys. Do you guys have any news and gossip scandal related?
Oh, I mean, I'm kind of loving the whole scandaloso telenovela, theme. Like, I think literally the entire world knows that it's Scandal Thursday, from Jimmy Kimmel to, for all of you fashionistas out there, I'm a big follower of Fashion Bomb Daily, and she always makes sure to mention that it's Scandal Thursdays, and she does inspirations and all over. I mean, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, people have, Olivia-themed outfits and Scandal teenies and so forth and so on. So
We've come a long way from Scandal Season 1, Episode 6. We were sitting here wondering if it was going to get renewed.
right, I still remember when we got the news on air. That was amazing.
Well, guys, let's go into
old days.
predictions, right?
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, well, Kennelia?
I predict. Let's see. I'm going. Something is. I don't think David's going to be in a good place by the end of this. I just don't see it. I think that Huck and Quinn will have a more intimate moment. Not this was like a passionate, like an animal instinct type of thing. But I think at some point they're going to have some intimacy. And I'm not saying sex or, but I'm saying it's going to be a real shared moment between them two, because they left not really knowing what that was about. Or if they did, they didn't talk about it. So I think something is going to progress between Huck and Quinn.
And I predict that somehow either the affair with Andrew or the sacrifice that Mellie has made is going to come out. Fitz is going to act like a child, and he is basically going to demand for Olivia to either run away with him, or we're going to have the question again of getting divorced and being together. And Olivia is basically going to say no, because it's going to be out of a place of anger, not actually because he wants to be with her. That's all I have.
I'm going to actually disagree with your prediction, because from a little bit from what we saw last week, I think there was a moment where there was this face-off between Mellie and Fitz. And so I'm going to say that although Fitz does not care for Mellie the way she would like, when someone invades into your territory, whether if you want that person or not, sometimes you tend to get jealous. So I think that Fitz is going to he's not going to like it. He's not going to like it. And I feel like it's going to show Fitz what he's missing. And then we'll have to go through this whole thing again, where now he'll get with Mellie for a little while, and he'll leave Olivia alone, and we'll go to that little cycle again. But and then I'm unsure what's gonna now happen with Cyrus now that James is gone. Is he gonna get a heart attack? Is his nerves gonna go bad? Does he need pills? Or will he go forward? That's just a random question. I'm not sure, but
I predict that this is gonna somehow make Cyrus stronger. This isn't a prediction. I'm just happy that we're finally gonna meet the kids next week. After all this time. And yeah, agree with Kennelia. I think that we're gonna see something intimate happen between Huck and Quinn. And I'm just excited that I'm passionate about this show again. This was a great episode, and I feel like it's been leading. It didn't feel forced. It felt natural. It felt like old Scandal again, and just a great episode. So where can we find you guys?
Bamm Ericsen.
You can find me on Twitter at Sofia Stanley.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Kennelia, Kennelia.com for all things Kennelia again.
And you can find me on social media at Emile Ennis Jr. and YouTube at Chasing LA. Guys, it was a pleasure as always. Make sure you join us here next week, same time, same place, so we can enjoy the last few episodes of Scandal Season 3 together.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro,
What do you need to say, Emile? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you haven't, make sure you check out Maria Menounos' new show, Chasing Maria on Oxygen. And also, we are going to have a special guest next week, potentially.
Yes.
So
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.